Hey everyone, welcome back to the Whoopi Studio. Today I'm going to be reviewing a new show called The Chosen, Season 1, Episodes 1 and 2. I am frustrated right now because I have to record this a second time because my water bottle fell over, so yeah. Um, we are good. Before I get started, I just wanted to give a little bit of like a note to some of you guys who might not necessarily like the show that I'm reviewing. So this is a Jesus-related show. It's a historical drama set back in that time period. For those of you guys who aren't Christians, I know that you might not exactly agree with like some of the things I might be saying, or like just don't have any interest in the show I'm reviewing. And if you're that way, it's perfectly fine to not like a show that I might be reviewing. But please keep your opinions about it and don't take it out on me. Keep it everything to yourself, and also like you can dislike the video if you want. I don't care, but please don't put in the comment section be like, this show is like a Jesus related show. Why are you reviewing on your channel? Well, I'm reviewing it because it has a lot of value, it has a lot of good potential in it, and that's why I'm reviewing it. So yeah, again, please keep this to yourself. I would really enjoy it if you did. So let's just go ahead and get started. So I just wanted to give like a little quick note there. I thought it would be important too. So, The Chosen, Season 1, Episodes 1 and 2 review. So, the reason why I'm putting Episodes 1 and 2 together into one whole review, pretty much just because it had a lot of the same stuff in it. I thought it was a repeat in both episodes. So that's why I am and Episode 3, I've already watched it too. I'll give my review over probably next week. Is a lot different, and that's probably definitely going to be a review that I want to do by myself. But I thought 1 and 2, why not just put them together? So let's just go ahead and get started. So I am going to spend some time talking about the characters individually, what they did in these first 2 episodes. Honestly, a good majority of them really didn't do anything, but oh well, we'll just talk about them as a character anyways. So let's, of course, talk about Jesus. So this is a Jesus-related show, so of course Jesus is going to be in it. He didn't come in until the end of Episode 1. I thought this was the perfect time to put Jesus in. Like, the first episode was all about introducing the characters, except Jesus. If they put Jesus in at the very beginning, I think we would have focused too much time on him and not enough time on all the characters. Because Episode 2, even then, he didn't focus on Jesus really that much either. But I thought it was appropriate for him to come in at the end of Episode 1 and not, like, beginning of Episode 1 or, like, even or like a random number at all through the whole season. So I thought it was appropriate for the end of Episode 1 to for him to be brought in. Honestly, so a lot of people, when they think of Jesus, they think a white man and blonde. I kind of think of him dark skin and brown hair. And he's not, no, he's white, in this show, he's white skin and dark curly hair. I'm like, and it's longer. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of like what I expected him to be. And honestly, this Jesus guy, the actor, is pretty funny. He makes a lot of good jokes during the thing, especially in Episode 3 when he has his thing with the kids. I'm not going to spoil too much about that, but stay tuned for my review next Tuesday. I think I'm going to release it over Episode 3. It's going to be me like talking about like for 10 minutes just Episode 3 and his time with the kids. So stay tuned for that. So Jesus, a very good character. So and of course, like, I don't know. I mean, Jesus. I'm just a fan of the actor, a fan of the character, and it just reminds me of what Jesus. It reminds me because you think of Jesus one way, and now he's completely different, probably than what you were expecting. He's pretty funny too. So let's move on to Mary Magdalene. I always get her name wrong. I mean, it is kind of a confusing last name, I gotta say. So Episodes 1 and 2 focused a lot on her and her backstory and her relationship with Jesus and even Nicodemus. Like, they do have some history together. But, like, Mary, she has such an important role in just these 2 episodes that, I don't know, it really caught up on me. I was like, okay, I think I can like this Mary character. I did. She has been through a lot, abused, but Jesus said that he did heal Mary. So yeah, Mary was healed by Jesus, And I really like that Mary and Jesus relationship. When Jesus came in at the very end of episode 1, I did enjoy that. I and of course with Mary too, and episode 2 with Mary holding like her own little Shabbat dinner and Jesus showing up too. I thought that that was an interesting way of bringing Jesus in and showing him off to everyone, and Mary introducing Jesus to him. I also like the idea of the Shabbat dinners, and it shows of how unique dinners were back then, and they're nowhere near like they are now. Um, so let's talk about Nicodemus a little bit. So I do like Nicodemus's character. He has an interesting character. He's the leader of this whole thing. He does have a wife, and honestly, they had this scene in episode 1 that I like thought was pretty funny. The wife is pretty funny. It was like a good 5 minute scene of just them talking over things, and Nicodemus, I would say that he's a pretty good character. Um, he is like he was talking to his wife about like things aren't really going well with everyone, and the wife's like, "Well, I think that you do so much already that I think that you should kind of like step back a little bit." It's just give that wife giving the man support, even though he's not exactly fond of maybe the advice that she's giving. But then him and Mary had an encounter in episode 2, but he calls her Lilith. So we know that her real name is Lilith, but she goes by Mary now. It's like a fresh start, I guess is the best way of saying it. Um, but I enjoyed like the little encounter that Mary and Nicodemus had. I thought that was good to put in, kind of like show what I don't know. I mean, I thought it was interesting, a good way of putting everything together. So overall, Nicodemus is a good character. I'll have to say that. So let's go ahead and talk about Simon for a bit. So you think of Simon, you don't really know much about Simon, Matthew, or Peter, or Andrew even. I mean, we got more about Matthew, but I'll talk about him in a little bit. So Simon, how do I explain Simon? He has a wife named Eden, but we don't know much about Simon's character. At least in these first couple episodes, all we know is that he's into fishing. Him and his wife had an argument in the second episode. But then again, we really did not get much of Simon. I mean, he's kind of dumb. I mean, but then again, Simon, Peter, and Andrew, and Matthew, all, well, besides Jesus, and maybe Nicodemus and Mary, but all Simon, Matthew, Peter, and Andrew, they all have some dumbness to them. I gotta say that. But like, we didn't really even get that much of Simon compared to some of the other characters. Who knows? Maybe there'll be an episode about Simon like soon, and I would appreciate that. I mean, we just didn't get much from his character. I think that's a pretty honest thing to say. We've gotten a lot of Mary, Jesus, some Nicodemus, and not a lot of Simon, barely any Peter and Andrew, and more Matthew than a lot of these characters. So let's go ahead and talk about Matthew. So Matthew is a tax collector, a pretty funny. I find him as a pretty funny character. But like he's a people think of him as a traitor for becoming a tax collector because it was like Jews versus like the Romans, and he became a tax collector. And then you gotta feel bad for those people who are in those cases. I felt bad for Matthew. He was just completely like known as a traitor, and I really feel bad for him. I'm hoping that his character, that he maybe eventually gets to be his old self again, is the way of saying it. I'm really hoping so because I think that he is a good character, but unfortunately he was fulfilling that traitor role. So let's talk about Peter and Andrew. So Peter and Andrew were pretty minor characters, at least in just these first 2 episodes. Then again, so was Simon, but I mean, they were like very minor. I mean, I like Peter and Andrew pretty good. I mean, they're brothers. We just don't know much about them. And I was hoping that we would get more of them. Um, I mean, we saw like a brother moment between them, but I don't really even know. But I do like Peter. I do like, I mean, they're funny characters, but we don't know much about them. I mean, that's pretty much all I can say about this kind of scenario. They're good characters, we just don't know much about them. So that's pretty much the characters. Jesus, Mary, Magdalene, Nicodemus and his wife, Simon and his wife, Eden, Matthew the tax collector, and Peter and Andrew. So that's pretty much the main characters. In total, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. around 9 to 10 main characters, I gotta say. So let's just go ahead and move on to some overall thoughts. I just want to talk about 5 minutes about this. Just some more thoughts about the show, and of course, me talking about some YouTube stuff as well. So, Jesus, I already talked about this, but Jesus did show up at the end of episode 1. And then in episode 2, I thought we would get more of Jesus, but he didn't show up until Mary's Shabbat dinner. It was kind of like he disappeared, but I thought it was appropriate for him to show up at like the Shabbat dinner as his first appearance in episode 2. Um, I was like, okay, I'm down. I'm down for Mary being able to introduce Jesus at the Shabbat dinner. Also, I mean, speaking of Mary, these 2 episodes, they did focus on Mary's backstory a lot and just explaining it, you know. Um, and Mary was depicted as the main character for these 2 episodes. Episode 3 focuses on the kids, and I don't know about episode 4 because I haven't watched that yet, but I did like these first 2 episodes. I think Mary is a powerful role. I'm hoping that even though she's probably not going to have as big as a role for the rest of the season, that she still is in there, and she's still like a character, even like what Matthew is right now. I'm hoping that like from 4 through 8, that's 5 episodes that could easily fit in more of Matthew, more of Simon, more of Nicodemus, more of like even Peter and Andrew. I think that is enough time to fit those characters in and give them more roles because I don't really know, but like we got a lot of Mary. I think it was appropriate for it to be these 2 episodes, and I'm hoping that she's still in there. But it's time to move on to other characters, and even just episode 3. I mean, they did it on the kids. I thought that was important, but I'm hoping that we will get more of like Matthew, Simon, Peter, Andrew, and Nicodemus, all those, and Eden and Nicodemus's wife, all in these like next 5 episodes. Well, after next week's review. Um, I thought that this was the perfect example of a historical drama. I love the plot, and it is the first Jesus show so far. I've been waiting, and my parents have been waiting for a show about Jesus to come out. It's finally here, and we didn't really know much about it until just like more recently because some friends from our church found it out. It is a really good show. I mean, after the first episode, we're like, okay, we're gonna keep watching, and now we're getting ready to watch episode 4. Just so you know, I'm gonna be watching these episodes ahead of when the reviews come out. So just so you know, it's not like I watch it and then I do a review. Well, that's what I kind of did, but it's gonna be me watching and reviewing. But I want to stick with that Monday, Tuesday, Thursday schedule, just so you know. Um, so, but I really like this Jesus show, but it came out in 2017, but we only found about it just recently because they advertised it, but they didn't advertise it as an official TV show like Riverdale or like I don't know any of those shows out there. Because it was mainly just because it wasn't as popular of a show and there wasn't exactly a channel to distribute on. It is a YouTube show. There's live streams on there with interviews after the episodes, and they talk about each episode a little bit. Um, but like they don't exactly have enough money to do that. They got enough money to do live streams now, and it looks like that they're going to what's I say? Yeah, so they're able to release all 8 episodes at once, and they're all out right now. And I'll get to them when I get to them. But now, of course, with the coronavirus right now going on, we might not get a second season until maybe like later this year. I know that it's going to be a several season show. I think they've mentioned like 6 seasons maybe, and that is a good amount, especially for like a Jesus show. So also, expect a review about once a week. I'm just gonna say that. Expect a review about once a week, and it'll pretty much just be me talking about the episodes. It should wrap up by summer. I'm hoping the end of May because once summer comes, it's gonna be a lot more challenges and outdoor fun. As long as this whole coronavirus thing is cleared up, they're hoping by the 1st of May. And the 1st of May is when my channel will be transferred to something new. So you're gonna see a lot more reviews throughout the end of May. So go ahead and stay tuned for that because a lot more is coming your way than just reviews. So that is pretty much the end of my review. Again, please, if you don't, it's okay to like, if you watch the show, comment below and we can have a conversation about it. But if you dislike the show, or you just don't agree with like God, or like you don't believe in like God, please don't make fun of me for reviewing this or like call me out, because I'm doing this because it's such a powerful show. So, anyways, thanks everyone for watching Movie Studio, and bye.